This is the third most recent Summit car in the Crew 2. And this is the third most recent Summit car in the Crew Motorfest. This is the second most recent Summit car in the Crew 2. And this is the second most recent Summit car in the Crew Motorfest. And the very most recent Summit car in the Crew Motorfest is in the Summit contest right now. And I have the very most recent Summit car in the Crew 2. So I thought I'd go into that Summit car today, the Mad Viper, but also look and talk about how Motorfest Summit cars suck to a godly level. It's impressive sucking this bad. So first, it's Ford GT versus Ford GT. And we begin with the one in the Crew 2. This one came out last update. It was the first Summit car, last update, the Ford GT Ruby Edition. Now, I did not like this thing when I first saw it, and I continue to not like it. Now it's got a Golf livery on it. It kind of looks a bit more serviceable, but I will say, I still really don't like this thing compared to anything else. It's noticeable. Look, it is a Summit car that is noticeably unique. If you see this thing, you know it's not a generic Ford GT. You know it's not the base model because of how it looks. It looks nothing like the base model Ford GT. You can't do exactly this, at least. So this one's actually alright, but would it compare to the other Ford GT? Chat, what do you boys say? The Ford GT or the Ford GT? This looks like a fake Ford GT from GTA 5? You're not wrong. You're not wrong. This is more of a Summit car. Well, it's the third most recent Summit car in the game. The one in the Summit is so good. The Ford GT is better. None of that helps. Handling-wise, it's whatever, but I don't really care about handling for this video, right? A Summit car, sure, it should be good. A Summit car should be alright, at least usable, because people should want to use it. It shouldn't be so bad that even though it's a Summit car, people don't use it because it's so bad. But I don't really care whether it's amazing currently. What I really care about is how cool it is, the cool factor of a Summit car, because that's what's going to make people want to play the Summit for it. You're not going to want to play the Summit because you already know a car's going to be good. If that was the case, everyone would have played the F-150 Space Raptor, because the Enforcer F-150 is the best in the spec. You know what ended up happening? One of the coolest Summit cars in the game, the UFO Edition Ford Raptor F-150, which is completely unusable. It sucks. It's unusable. It's one of the worst rally raid cars, but it still ranks pretty damn high on the cool factor. I think this thing just kind of gets beat out by too much. I think there's too many cars that compete with this thing to a level of, well, this thing ain't that much then. This thing just kind of whatever then. But does this thing compare to the Ford GT Le Mans Airfoil Edition? Boys, what do you think of this thing? Because we've got a base Ford GT right there, so let's put them side by side. Here's the Airfoil Edition, and that is the base Ford GT. You can tell by the back, I will say, the pinstripe helps. The fact that it's actually got a bit of color on the back there. The spoiler's different. The vent on the roof is much more noticeable. It's definitely a lot bigger. I didn't even know the base Ford GT had one on there. The exhaust is maybe not different. I can't actually tell because he's not nitroing. And the front bumper's pretty alright as well, right? Not crazy noticeable, but definitely a little bit noticeable. What people have said is this thing's like a knockoff Ford GT Mark II, whatever that is. The Ruby looks like it's a light version of a touring car, but it's still cool. The airfoil has some very small differences, so I prefer the Ruby. You know what? That's kind of an alright response. So champ, which is better, the Ford GT Ruby or the Ford GT Airfoil? Who takes round one in Do Motorfest Summit Cars Suck? This one, Ruby, Airfoil. We got one for Ruby. We got two for Airfoil. The Ford, well, that doesn't help at all. Airfoil, though. Airfoil, Airfoil, Airfoil. Oh, it's just more and more votes for the Airfoil. It's not looking good for the Ruby. And you know what? On that note, I will agree. Because this is definitely the best of the three. Out of the three most recent Summit cars in the Crew Motorfest, the Airfoil is the best. It's the most noticeably different. It's the most unique. It's an original idea for a Summit car. There's never been a Ford GT touring car, Summit car before. It's nice to use. It's usable. It looks different enough to its original or any other one in the spec, although it's still a bit noticeable. The Ruby does beat it out on uniqueness, but I think when it comes to cool factor, it just goes to the Airfoil Edition. So it's kind of the only win that the Airfoil is gonna take. Tinfoil, Airfoil, ground foil. Great, chat, great. Subscribe to catch some more content just like this, but subscribe with notifications on if you want to catch the live streams where we film videos like these. What would I do without such a helpful chat? Oh, I've gone white. That's what I do with a helpful chat. Chose the Crew 2. The Airfoil looks like a beta knockoff itself. Yes, it's unique, but unique and rare doesn't make it good. So, final decision, the Ford GT is the best out of the third most recent Summit car. So that's one win. Did I say Ford GT? I did the meme myself. The Airfoil is the best. So giving Motorfest one win out of the most recent 3 Summit cars. But it goes very much downhill for Motorfest after that. Why is that, you ask? Well, because then we go on to the second most recent Summit cars in the game. Because the second most recent Summit car in the Crew Motorfest, the one I'll do first, was the Kamea Hardar Honda S2000. Can I tell you a secret about this thing? People were like, oh, all they did was make it a recolor. All they did was recolor the S2000 Red Panther Edition. Nope. This thing has been in the Crew 2's files for over, like, 2-3 plus years. Longer than I've been making content. Like, coming up on 4 years has this thing been in the Crew 2's files. This car wasn't just, oh, look, they recolored the Red Panther. They did that 4 years ago. They just dragged and dropped something that was already in the files. That's right. This thing is even less unique. It was essentially supposed to be a Crew 2 Summit car that they rehashed. That included, it's got a livery on it, which is a mock livery of the S2000 Red Panther. Sure. But what this livery does, it's nice to have it, but what this livery does is it just makes it more painfully obvious that it's a clone. That it's just the same thing again. Because before it had the flowers on it as well. That doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because the only thing different from this to the Red Panther is the exhaust. And it's less cool. The exhaust on the Red Panther stuck out the hood. The exhaust on this thing, just 2 bone stock looking exhausts on the rear. So it's even worse. 2, this thing wasn't called the Kamea Hardar before. It was called something else. But then they named it after one of the artists who worked on Motorfest. He had nothing to do with this car. They just put his name on it. And then didn't tell anyone that's the reason it's called a Kamea Hardar. I was looking up Kamea Hardar in Japanese translations. Nope. It's a guy's name. This thing is just so lousy. Like, someone said they prefer it to the Devo Emerald Edition, right? And that's the only Summit duo that's worse. The 2 RX-8s are completely different. The Evo Lancer and Red Fury and Black Knight are noticeably different. This thing and the S2000 Red Panther are just an exhaust different, and then the Devo and Emerald are the exact same car, but one green. The only one worse than this thing. So chat, my question is to you, chat. In the chat right now, and in the comments, which is better? The second to most recent Summit car, the Honda S2000 Kamea Hardar in Motorfest, or the Crew 2's second to most recent Summit car, the Mazda RX-7 FC Outline Edition. One of my personal favorite Summit cars they've ever done. On one of my personal favorite cars they've ever done, with pop-out yellow headlights, with an outline design, a unique body kit, a very sick looking spoiler, cool exhaust, a cool skirt that actually matches around the whole car, unlike the Sakura Edition RX-7. The design on it is so sick. The anime design, yes, you can't change the livery, but that's alright when it looks this cool. It's got the spoiler, which looks sick. It's got a bunch of vanities that go with it from the contractor update, the cartoon vanities. This thing is one of the best Summit cars they've ever added. And they're doing this while the Crew Motorfest was out. The Crew Motorfest had released when they were doing this. Same with the Ruby. These were cars that came out while we're getting the airfoil, the Honda S2000. So chat, which one do you guys prefer? The Outline or the S2000? The RX-7 or the S2000? Because I think it's so clear for me. I cannot wait for this car to come into the Crew Motorfest. I can't wait. It's coming in December 6th, and it's going to be one of my favorite vehicles to come to the Crew Motorfest. Outline, RX-7 for sure. It's not even close this time. Everyone's saying Outline. Cannot disagree. Maybe even top 3 best looking Summit cars. No one's even saying maybe the other one. It's so clean for this thing. I wish I played the Crew 2 sooner. I missed out on this gem. Exactly, right? Like, this thing is so cool. It's so cool. I've got these vanities in the Crew Motorfest as well, so I'm gonna make this thing again. But, like, what a sick design. And it's not even, like, unrealistic, right? Because I've seen cars with this same art style in person before. I've gone to so many car meets, and I've seen people with paint jobs that are made to look like they're from Need for Speed Unbound. Outline paint jobs. This is one of them. And it's done so damn well. So, round 2 of why Motorfest cars suck definitely, cleanly goes to the Crew 2. So we're 1 for 1. And now all we're dealing with is the most recent Summit cars in the game. It's not looking good. See, the worst thing about the Crew Motorfest's brand new Summit car, this thing right here, is that I just lied to you. I'm not in the Crew Motorfest's most recent Summit car. I made that livery, and I published that livery. So you can go buy this car and own the new Temptation Summit car without owning the new Temptation Summit car. That's how bad it is. It's just an interior, and the vent in there in the middle looks different. That's the current Summit car in this game. That's the car we are supposed to be hyped for this month. What this month has been leading up to is that. Why bother? Why bother? So that one is up against the Crew 2's most recent, last week's Summit car, the Mad Viper. One of the best Summit okay, that's a bit far. That's a bit far. But it's really cool, right? Also, I'm finally going to be able to get the last car that I don't own in the game. That's going to be cool. But, okay, let's just quickly hop in to the Mad Viper. And to find this out, let's actually hop into making something of the Dark Viper. Not Dark... The Dark Viper. The Dark Viper. What, the Australian car, the Dark Viper. Oh, my God. The Mad Viper is what I meant. What liveries have people made? That's actually, the way that matches, very nice. That, already so sick. Already perfect. Matches perfectly with the rest of it. Makes it look like a cool little sports car. Then we've got this split, which looks pretty good. It's got like, oh, I see what he's done there. He's like, oh, look, Hoonigan. Look, it's Hoonigan. Ooh, Hoonigan. Hoonigan. Ooh. Then we've got the generic Viper liveries. And mostly just stripes. Okay, it seems like not a lot of people have been playing the Crew recently is what's going on here. Most people are playing... Well, no. Both games don't have many good livery creators at the moment. Any special liveries? I mean, I can see. Nope. Just the generic Mad livery, which I will say is kind of alright. And that bar that it's got on there as well, also a cool thing. Let's head into vanity so I can see it. That bar there, it's a cool design. You got the 2 turbos sticking out the front. You got the holes in the back. That's why this livery works, because it looks like a real race car. Now, do we have Mad tires? We do, right? But we've also got a lot of tires, so let's try and find the Mad tires first. Oh, right at the end. Nice. That works, even though we don't have purple on. Honestly, I might change the livery back to stock, just because we have a bunch of vanities that match up with the Mad design perfectly, right? I'm not going to do anything else anywhere else. There's not like a mad topper, is there? I don't think there is. So we're gonna skimp out on that as well. Instead, let's go to liveries. Let's go exclusive. We got a perfect mad build. There is something very, very, very unfortunate that I'm hearing about this car in the comments, though. Which, I guess we'll find out now. Oh, here we go. Here, I mean, you can see the... There we go. There's the knots. All going... Oh, going perfectly with the mad... Oh, that's kind of cool. Why does that trigger all the time? Is that supposed to trigger when I'm turning? Which might have something to do with what I've heard. Apparently, chat, this thing sucks. Apparently, this thing absolutely sucks. It's really slidey, is what I hear. I mean, I crashed there, but it wasn't crazy slidey. Chat, are you sure this thing sucks? It took that perfectly fine. Chat, are you okay? Have you taken your meds? 0010 it becomes weird. Oh, if I put on the, like, what, the meta settings, it becomes weird? King NGX, I disagree with this. Now, that's a sweaty player. Disagree with what? You think this thing is good or bad? It's good, just feels kind of heavy. Oh, that's fine, though. But yes, chat, this is the most recent Summit car. We now have this thing. It won't be coming in Motorfest for a very long time, but we now own this thing. And it's this thing versus the Temptation Viper. This thing versus the Temptation Edition. Did I say Viper? Did I say Viper? I'm losing it. Like, I'm losing it. The Temptation Edition Jaguar E-Type. Oh, wait, this thing's badge lights up when you brake. Does the regular Viper do that? I feel like the regular Viper does that. Well, that's kind of cool, though. So, chat, which one is better? This or the Temptation? The mad. Someone said the Jaguar long, which I think is a lie. Testing proved this thing can compete with Meta as top speed, good power, good grip. Oh, so minor body roll. Okay, that makes sense. So, wait. So, all this thing has is a bit of body roll, meaning it, yeah, heavy, right? So, it feels a bit heavy. That makes sense. But other than that, it's literally a very good to use against the most best cars in the game. This thing's so good. Top speed at 228. That's actively really good. We got more votes coming in. Viper is better. Viper. Back in the event, which I used at the start, to really see how good this thing is up against Meta, against myself in the Lamborghini Countach. Because if you're gonna be using this against bad players, it should at least be able to compete with yourself if you're any good. Oh, I'm spinning out. This smoke is kind of cool, though. I will say, the smoke is nice. It's one of the side smokes. This works better as a side smoke. It's a cool effect, at least, right? I like it. So, in conclusion, the Mad Viper wins the final Summit car, meaning the Crew 2 has had better summits than Motorfest for the last consistent 3 months. Comparing each of them, the Crew 2 has bodied Motorfest, only winning from the Ruby versus the Airfoil. Why do the Summit cars in Motorfest suck so bad? Because it's the brand new game. Why are they worse than the old game? Why are we getting such cool things like this in the old game? Are they just not bothered to license stuff? Cool stuff for the new game? Instead, we're stuck dealing with a reused 5-year-old Honda S2000 and a Jaguar that isn't different at all. And then we get racing build, pipes coming off of it, holes in the back, and 2 turbo Vipers, Outline Edition RX-7s, and at least a noticeable body kit on the Ford GT. Why do Crew Motorfest cars, Summit cars, suck so bad? Get your act together, Ivory Tower. I wouldn't be surprised if this Jaguar, this Temptation Edition, is the least played Summit of all time, Summit car of Motorfest's history. Unless they really don't improve, it will be the least played. And I hope that shows to them that, God, do anything other than these terrible Summit cars. People noticed with the S2000. People noticed with the Jaguar, and people are noticing that the Crew's doing it a lot better. Is it two separate teams? Is it two separate teams? Why? Tower? Why Tower? Get your damn act together. Which Summit cars do you prefer though, the Crew 2 or Motorfest? Thank you to popular members, a special thank you to famous members, and an insane thank you to star members, Danimal the Manimal, and Grim Pepper, and an insane top of the top thank you to Icon members, HK. That's gonna be about it from me. I'm gonna keep streaming though in a bit.